Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the channel. This Saturday is UFC 282 and opening up the main card, we have an amazing featherweight matchup, Bryce Mitchell versus Ilia Topuria, and this is going to be my full breakdown and prediction for this fight, and I'll be doing a bunch of UFC 282 prediction videos, so if you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Bryce Mitchell versus Ilia Topuria is my favorite fight on UFC 282. I'm really looking forward to this matchup. It's two surging undefeated contenders within the featherweight division, and whoever wins this fight is going to be in a very good spot within the division, and I think potentially 2 fights away from a featherweight title shot. That's how important this fight is. And stylistically, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, this is a grappler versus striker matchup. Topuria is very well-rounded. I know Bryce Mitchell is a grappler, but Topuria is very well-rounded. He's not just a striker. And he primarily wins via submission. If you look at his MMA record, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But this is a fan-friendly matchup. This is a stylistically interesting fight. It's going to answer a lot of questions about both guys. And you have 2 undefeated prospects within the featherweight division. Sometimes in other divisions, you can't see this because the UFC doesn't like to kill off contenders. But because the featherweight division is so stacked, they can put these guys against each other and we can find out who's better. And this is one of those fights where both guys are so young. This is a fight you could see down the line 2 years from now. Topuria and Mitchell could be having a rematch for a featherweight title. That's how good both of these guys are. I think they'll be, hanging around that top 10 of the featherweight division for years to come. So if you look at the tail of the tape for this fight, you have Bryce Mitchell is 15-0, Topuria is 12-0. Bryce Mitchell is ranked number 9. Topuria is ranked number 14 in the UFC official rankings. Mitchell's 28. Topuria is 25. Mitchell's 5'10". Topuria is 5'7". Mitchell has a 70-inch reach, and Topuria has a 69-inch reach. So Bryce Mitchell has a 3-inch height advantage and a 1-inch reach advantage. So if you look at Ilia Topuria, he has 12 wins, 4 by knockout, 7 by submission, and 1 by decision. So he's won the majority of his fights via submission. His last fight was in March of this year at UFC London against Jai Herbert, and this fight was kind of thrown together on short notice, and it ended up being at lightweight, where Topuria does not compete at lightweight usually, and he was massively undersized in this fight. He got brutally hurt by a head kick in the first round. I thought he was going to get finished. He was able to survive and use the clinch and the takedowns to survive that first round. He comes out in the second round and brutally KOs Jai Herbert with just some nasty punches, ripping to the body, ripping to the head, and just sleeps Jai Herbert. And it was cool to see because he overcame adversity in that first round. When you saw him drop from that head kick, it was like, how is he going to survive this? He survives with his clinch work and his grappling, only to come back in that second round and finish him with strikes. The fight before that, he fought Ryan Hall, who's primarily a jiu-jitsu guy, primarily a submission guy, rolling for weird leg lock takedowns and all this weird stuff. Ilia Topuria was able to deal with it, able to avoid it for the most part. There was some grappling exchanges where Topuria went down on the ground with him, landed some good shots, and then kind of got out of there. But eventually, at the end of the first round, Topuria brutally KOs Ryan Hall with hammer fist ground and pound. As he's doing one of those weird rolls, looking for takedowns, Topuria just started lighting him up with ground and pound and finishing him. The fight before that, he brutally KO'd Damon Jackson. The fight before that was his UFC debut back in October of 2020 against Youssef Zalal. And this was his only fight in UFC that went to decision. And this fight, he showed that he was very well-rounded. Youssef Zalal, a lot of the time, was initiating the grappling, initiating the takedowns. Topuria was not only defending, but then using those positions to find takedowns of his own. He was looking for submissions throughout this fight, every single round, and he primarily won this fight with his grappling, being able to get Zalal down, control him on the ground, and just get some of that control time, get some of those ground and pound shots in, look for those submission attempts, and win via decision. So if you look at Bryce Mitchell, he is 15-0, 9 wins by submission, and 6 by decision. So both these guys, we see how they like to win their fights via submission. His last fight was the toughest test of his career against Edson Barboza back in March of this year at UFC 272. And going into this fight, I knew that Edson Barboza was on the downslope of his career. But I just thought Bryce Mitchell, he hasn't really fought anyone all that good. And I thought Barboza will be able to deal with the grappling of Bryce Mitchell and probably light him up on the feet. Because I've seen Barboza get out grappled before, but it's always by some of the best guys. And Bryce Mitchell went out there and proved me wrong. Early in the first round, Edson Barboza was landing some good leg kicks. But because of the fear of the takedown, Bryce Mitchell was able to land a nasty combination, drop Edson Barboza maybe 2 minutes into the first round. And then after that, it was pretty much all control time for Bryce Mitchell for the rest of the fight and wins via decision. And this is the biggest win of his UFC career. The fight before that, he fought Andre Fili back in October of 2020 and just basically out-grappled him for the entire fight. Andre Fili had some good scrambles. He was able to find his way back to his feet. But Bryce Mitchell is just relentless with his pressure, constantly pressing forward, constantly looking for takedowns, and won via decision against Andre Fili. Fight before that, defeated Charles Rosa back at UFC 249 in May of 2020. Out-grappled him and dominated Charles Rosa in this fight. Fight before that against Matt Sales, he won via twister. This is the second only submission via twister in the UFC, and I was actually there live in DC watching this. Crazy win via submission. I know it's not against the best opponent, but nonetheless, to get a twister in the UFC was crazy to see. And then you're starting to get back into 2018, 2017. But Bryce Mitchell, now he's fighting Ilia Topuria. Both guys are surging, but neither guy has really been tested against the elite of the elite. If anything, you can say more for Bryce Mitchell because of the Barboza win, but Barboza kind of on the downslope of his career. But, definitely the best opponent either one of these guys has fought. And when I look at this matchup, again, I know a lot of people are going to say, this is a striker versus grappler matchup. And there's no doubt in my mind that Bryce Mitchell is going to come out. He's going to look to use his wrestling. He's going to look to use his pressure. And he's going to look to take down Ilia Topuria, control him on the ground. When I look at Topuria, I think his strategy coming into this fight is going to be come in, stuff the takedowns, and strike with Bryce Mitchell. So in that respect, it kind of is. But Bryce Mitchell is a very good grappler. He is a very good grappler. People forget that just because he's been knocking guys dead. He showed great takedown defense and even takedown offense in the Yusuf Zalal fight. And he has nasty power in his hands, and his hands are ever evolving. And for Bryce Mitchell, I think his striking is getting better, but I think Topuria definitely has the advantage in the striking. I think Bryce definitely has the advantage in the wrestling and just the relentless pressure. If this fight does go to the ground, I don't see either one of these guys getting submitted. I don't think Bryce Mitchell is going to be able to submit Topuria if he's able to get him down. I don't think Topuria is going to be able to submit Bryce Mitchell. The only way I could really see it happening if one guy gets rocked with a strike and then it gets submitted. Maybe he gets dropped. Maybe Topuria drops Mitchell and then somehow locks up a guillotine in the scramble. That's the only really way I see a submission happening. For Bryce Mitchell, I think the most likely path to victory, and really the only path to victory, is via decision. If Bryce Mitchell wins this fight, I think it'll be based on control time, pressing him against the fence, getting takedowns, controlling him there, beating him up on the ground a little bit, and just winning a decision that way. For Ilia Topuria, I feel like he can win multiple ways. Bryce is very tough. He's never lost. He's never been finished. I could see Topuria stuffing the takedowns and just landing on the feet, boxing up Bryce Mitchell. I think Topuria has a massive advantage in the striking, and I could just see him winning a decision. I'd be very curious how his cardio would hold up to the pressure and the constant takedown attempts of Bryce Mitchell, but I think he could win the decision. I think the most likely path to victory for Ilia Topuria is via TKO or KO. He has nasty power in his hands. Bryce Mitchell, sometimes with that pressure and that relentlessness and looking for takedowns, kind of leaves himself susceptible to punches. And if Topuria connects, there's a good chance he could put Bryce Mitchell to sleep. So, I really could see this fight going either way. But my official prediction for this fight, I am going Ilia Topuria first round KO. And I'm going to say late first round KO. I think Bryce Mitchell's going to come out. He's going to be looking for the takedowns. He's going to be pressuring Topuria. He's going to be kicking the legs. Bryce Mitchell has some decent leg kicks. He was even using them a little bit against Edson Barboza. But I think Topuria knows exactly what Bryce wants to do. Topuria has good takedown defense. Even if he gets taken down, he has good jiu-jitsu and submission defense. So even if Bryce is able to get him down, I think Topuria, especially in that first round, is going to be able to find his way back to his feet. So I just don't think Bryce Mitchell is going to go out there and just be able to dominate him in the grappling the way he needs to win this fight. And I think Bryce leaves his chin exposed. And I think Ilia Topuria, he rips nasty body shots. He has very good body shots. He has very good hooks. I mean, his striking is just getting better every fight out. And just knowing what Bryce is going to try to do, being confident in his defense against it, And then you have the factor that Bryce gets a little bit careless in there. I mean, you know, Bryce Mitchell doesn't have the best fight IQ. I mean, Bryce Mitchell doesn't have the best IQ in general. But Topuria, knowing what he's going to try to do, being ready for it, I think he's going to find a shot right as Bryce Mitchell looks to engage for a takedown. As he's pressuring, as he's looking for these takedowns, and he's getting stuff, he's going to get a little bit more desperate. Topuria is going to get the timing on Bryce Mitchell and eventually land something and just brutally KO Bryce Mitchell at the tail end of the first round. I'm going to say 4 minutes and 35 seconds into the first round, so almost the end of the round. I think Ilia Topuria is going to stop Bryce Mitchell. But we'll see. If Bryce Mitchell is able to get him down and control him, which I don't think he'll be able to do. I think there's a chance maybe he gets him down in the first round, but I think Topuria will scramble right back to his feet. He has very good wrestling. He has very good jiu-jitsu. He can get back to the feet without getting submitted by Bryce Mitchell. I just, don't see Bryce Mitchell. If he wants to win this fight, he's going to have to take him down each and every round and control him. Now, where it will get interesting is, let's say Topuria hurts Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell's very durable. If he hurts Bryce Mitchell early, looks for the finish, and Bryce Mitchell survives, I could see a decision win, a 29-28 decision win for Bryce Mitchell, losing the first round, and then Topuria's tired. Bryce Mitchell has amazing stamina. He's shown great stamina and great pressure throughout his career. I could see him winning the second and third round with that grappling, with that clinch control, just because now Topuria is tired. He looked for the finish early, and he wasn't able to get it. So I could see Bryce winning that way. But I think Topuria is going to find that kill shot. He's going to be looking to rip hooks to the body. He's shorter than Bryce Mitchell. I think he's stronger than Bryce Mitchell. I think he'll be able to stuff the takedowns. And I think as he's kind of throwing those body shots, looking to set up, a big KO blow to Bryce Mitchell as he comes in on the takedown. And also because of those body shots by Ilia Topuria, and he throws them in every fight, he's already in the position. He has his hands low. He's already in a position to defend those takedowns. So I just don't see Bryce Mitchell being able to out-grapple him in this fight. And even if he gets him down, I don't see him submitting him. So again, I am going Ilia Topuria, first round KO, late first round KO. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, and thank you so much for watching.